Okay guys, so today we're going to look at doing an attendance record, but this is essentially a process in learning how to format tables within Word. So in order for us to do this, we're going to try and replicate a table like this, which can look complicated, but if we take it in stages, then we will be able to navigate this hopefully quickly enough. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to notice before I start my document that the orientation of this page is in landscape, which is to say that the page is more sideways than portrait, which would be upright. So I'm going to go File, and I'm going to open up a new blank document. And I'm going to do this by going into my Layout, Orientation. I'm going to change that to Landscape. And then going to insert Child Attendance record at the top. I can make this a little bit bigger for you to see. And I'm going to center that using my home ribbon. So under paragraph, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to bold and underline it. Okay, so that's kind of the first part of it. Some of us may decide to work off a letterhead that we've created or to insert the logo in the top right if we wanted to do that. That's no problem at all. I would just go to insert. I'll go into my pictures in this case. I'm going to choose the following logo, which would be do maybe documents. I'm going to use this Happy Friends logo. Insert that. Okay, and I'm going to just make that a little bit smaller. I'm going to go right click, wrap text, and then tight. And I'm going to move that maybe somewhere over here. Now, one of the things that we did in class is we realized that we need to use the full amount of space as possible. So we wanted our margins to increase. So again, under layout, if I go into my margins and then I go to narrow, that will make this a little bit bigger and just give me more scope for trying to get this assignment or trying to get this table in. All right, so that's me started off. And now what I want to do is I want to insert my table. So I'm going to go over to the left hand side here again. I'm just going to try and tighten these guys up here a little bit. My child attendance record isn't, it's poor image I'm using, which is why that's happening there. All right. So down here I want to insert my table. Now in this case I had found out, we had counted out the columns, and we knew that we needed 11 columns and that we needed 13 rows. So that brought us in our table like that. So that was insert table, and then under insert table I just added in the number of columns and rows. So if I navigate back to our previous document that we were working off, you can see here how the first two layers, the first row has got 2 cells, the next row has got 6 cells, and then we go to 13 cells in the third row. All right, so this is actually the same as the rest of these, it's just that it's colored. But the first 2 rows have been manipulated in terms of the number of cells. So if I go back into my Word document I've been on, in order for us to do that, I highlight the 3 cells that I want to merge, and then I right click and go merge cells, and that will bring them together. And then I can turn around and highlight the next row of cells, right click, click merge, and that will bring them together. The other thing then that we had in the previous document is that these were shaded. So I highlight the 2 cells, and either in my ribbon where you see a bucket that's spilling over, you'll see shading, or up at the top, you can do it underneath home, you'll see your bucket up there again. You can then drop down and click your color of shade that you choose. So I might go with a light blue shade in this case here. This third column was also shaded, so I might as well do that now. So the last difference that we had here is that in my initial document, these cells here had been manipulated. So you can see the first one remained the same, but cell 2, which was Monday, had 2 cells merged together. So if I go back into my document and I highlight those 2 cells and I right click and merge, that will bring them together. And I continue that exercise for the remaining cells on this row. Okay, So now that I have this in place, I'm going to begin to populate some of the data into it. So at the top they had room. We then had child attendance record. I think it was then week ending. And they used underscore slash underscore for that. And then we had our days of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then down here they had child name. We had time of arrival, and then time of departure. Okay. So the first thing I'll notice on this is that all of these words have come in bold and highlighted. And in fact, what they've done is they've replicated how I'd started the document up here with my child attendance record. And I may not want that for the table, but it'll be the default that the last one I'd used before entering into the table, they'll use it again. So if I want to amend that, I can highlight every cell in the table by clicking this square up at the top left. And if I left click on that once, that highlights the table. And now I can begin to undo the bold by clicking on the B. I can undo the underlines by clicking on the U. And I can begin to change the font size by making it bigger or smaller. And I can turn around and change the font style by dropping down through here and maybe using something like Candera. So I've now changed my font size, and because I've done it for all the cells, it means when I go somewhere else in the document and begin typing, that they'll now be in this new format I've selected. Okay, so the other thing that we had mentioned in class was a few of our shortcuts. And so if we see this time of arrival and time of departure, that's repeated on every day of the week. And in order for us to do that, a quick way is to highlight the two cells. And if we press Control, which is the CTRL button, if we press and hold that and then press the letter C once, that will have copied those two words, and that will remain copied until the point where I copy something else. So I'll always have that to hand. And if I want to paste that, I highlight the two cells where I want it pasted, and I will press that Control button again, but this time I'll press the letter V once, and it will insert the time of departure. And I can repeat that process, so I already have it copied, so I don't need to do it again. Highlight the two cells, Control V, highlight the two cells, Control V, and lastly highlight the two cells, Control V, and that will insert it there. So looking back, I nearly have my table resembling what I had previously. The only difference that I have is that in here, all the words have been centered into the middle of the cell. And so I might want to do that. And I may also want to add an extra row. So I might want to have 11 students on the sheet as opposed to 10 that's currently there now. So in order for me to do that, I turn around and I will go to highlight all my cells again. This time I will go right click. I will use table properties, and underneath cell at the top, you'll see this word center. If I left click on that and press OK, that will move them all into the center. And then if I want to align these into the middle of the cell, so they're now in the center, but now I want them into the middle, I can highlight it, and up here on the paragraph, I can press enter, and that will move them in. I'd forgotten to do this guy up here as well, so I'll just move him across now. And I might stick him in bold to try and make it stand out because this is kind of a title of this report. So that's everything being centered. Might actually put my days of the week in bold as well. The final thing then that I need to do is to add a row at the bottom and maybe to spread this out so it looks a little bit bigger and fills out the page more. It'll give me more space to write in names. So the first thing I'll do is I'm going to add in that extra row I wanted at the bottom. There's two ways of doing this, but the simplest way is to right click in the cells at the bottom. So any one of them will do fine. And if we go to insert and we use row below, that will add in an extra row there, and we can see that that's highlighted. I now want to stretch this out to make it look fuller on the page. It'll give me more space in each column if or when I print it out. And in order to do that, I go to the right hand side of my table and we'll see this square box appear. If I push my mouse over that square box, I will now get an opportunity to stretch it. So I left click and hold, and then I begin to pull this down until it all fits within the one page. And if it goes into 2 pages, we've just pulled it down too far. We've pulled it down past the gray bit that would be over here on our screen. So just try and pull it back up so it sits as close as you can to the bottom of the white. So that's that document now prepared. Okay, we can make little amendments with our child attendance, or we could bring bits and pieces up if we needed to try and tighten it again a little bit further. But they're just formatting things that I hope you guys should be able to do by now. Before I leave, I would File, Save As. In this case here, you can save in your Explorer folder. I'm going to go to this PC. I don't think I have my own Explorer folders for something different, but I'll put this in here anyway. And I'll do child attendance record, and then I'll press save. It's also worth noting that if this is something we're going to be sending on to other people or using time and time again, that we should save it as a PDF so that the layout won't change when it's opened up on a different device. For example, if it was opened up on a laptop. So if I want to save as a PDF, I use the same process. I can go to File, Save As. I'm going to choose where I want it to be. But instead of saying a Word document, I'm going to use my drop-down menu, and I'm going to go to PDF. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to press Save. And that will now change that into a PDF document, but I can't edit this. So that's a handy part. Thank you very much.